New severe fighting in Libya was reported by the German High Command today, and a Rome communique describes heavy fighting in the desert around Bir el Gobi. Details, however, are scant.
London got today's communique from Libya, which told of British pressure on the enemy throughout the area of operations. There are no reports here indicating the start of any more major tank battles in Libya. But late tonight, London heard that 2 American-built Tomahawk planes have shot down 20 German Junkers dive bombers in Libya.
There's a lot of talk these days about precision tools. They're the keystone of the defense industries. But let's not lose sight of the fact that precision tools long have been the backbone of peacetime industry. Many peacetime industries have contributed to the present emergency by the training of men who are now skillful makers and operators of precision tools.
While the war against Britain is confined to the air action, mainly against British convoys, interest in the war that seems far away, the war in the Middle East, is increasing. While it's generally agreed that the British Navy has lived up to its reputation in the Mediterranean, there is some concern about the land fighting. There has been no important change in the strategic position as a result of the action between British and Italian troops. But the Italians have the initiative. And it is felt that their local successes may influence the attitude of the native population.
The responsibilities of diplomatic, political, and business leadership, like all the other great responsibilities of life, almost always fall to men and women over 35. For the years bring the needed experience and knowledge. But to shoulder these important tasks, you have a big responsibility to yourself. That of guarding your fitness, your good cheer and alertness. And if common sluggishness robs you of these things, this may be the answer. You may now need
in Libya, the main fighting is apparently still going on between Tobruk and Bir el Gobi. Mobile British columns are also operating toward the enemy's lines of communications west of Tobruk, but here British action is limited by the presence at El Adam of a big enemy force of all arms.
London, in many respects, has correlated its moves in the Far Eastern situation with the progress of the American-Japanese discussions in Washington. Australia and Singapore and other Crown colonies have been made ready for any eventuality, and a Far Eastern fleet has been created, headed by the 35,000-ton Prince of Wales.
Try it. Compare it. And if you don't prefer it to everything else, you'll get your money back. So, friends, tonight and tomorrow, ask your druggist for nature and...
Have a way of upsetting our plans. Were you all set for a pleasant evening and then obliged to change your plans because of a cold? Why not build strong internal resistance with vitamins A and D, which aid the body in its fight against cold? Millions of people in the past 86 years have found this well-known medicine extremely valuable in giving relief from colds by internal action. At the very first sign of a cold, it's time to take vitamins A and D.
The Far East situation and the war in Russia and Libya topped the news tonight. And first, the story of the fighting in Europe and Africa before going to the Philippines and our own capital for reports on the crisis in Japanese-American relations. The Soviet version of the Russian war reports that along the Sea of Azov in the far south, the Red Army has driven the retreating Germans across the Mias River and established bridgeheads on the west bank, thereby cutting off the enemy on the Taganrog Peninsula. And on the Moscow front, where the fighting is going on in weather from 10 to 15 degrees below zero, the invaders are now more the victims of cold than of bullets, according to the Russians, who refer to the weather as our December frost. But in the Tula sector, south of the capital, the Russians admit a new German breakthrough, creating a critical situation in that zone.
Recruits in Uncle Sam's new army today are being taught not only to follow orders, but to understand the reasons why they are given. If you like to know the reasons for things yourself, here's one you surely ought to have, particularly if you're 35 or you're older. The reason so many folks your age needlessly put up with...
Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning. The anti-aircraft guns began barking during a blackout ordered by the 4th Interceptor Command at 2:25 a.m. The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach. Army officials declined to comment on the possibility that the object might have been a blimp. However, it required nearly 30 minutes to travel some 25 miles, far slower than an airplane.